Maybe want to close the door.
Yeah. Okay, hello. Today is March 19th, 2009. We're here at Fordham University with DJ Jazzy Jay, who is one of the famous pioneering Bronx DJs who has traveled all over the world with his music, but I also just found out he is a professional union carpenter who's worked on some of the biggest projects in New York and has had a very interesting life.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to start with the beginning. Could you please say your name and spell it for us, your non-DJ name?
Okay. My government status is, I hope y'all get, is Juan, John Byas, B-Y-A-S. And, basically, I grew up, you know what I'm saying, lived life to the fullest, and I'm here right now trying to just...
Okay, well, let's start off with your family. You had told us before you grew up in South Carolina. Uh-huh. What was your childhood like in South Carolina?
Oh, man, South Carolina was like, you know, it was... I was, you know, country boy, you know, bare feet running around, weather usually always hot, you know, chickens in the coop, pigs in the hog in the hog pen. Uh-huh. We grew everything from sugar cane to peanuts, watermelon, corn. You know, all of that stuff. My grandmother used to just grow that stuff right out there in the fields. We had acres and acres of land.
So you owned your own land?
Yeah, we had land that was kind of like passed down to us, like from slavery, from the slavery era. It was that swamp land. You know, we were the Geechee people. We were that swamp land that actually nobody wanted back then. Now it's a big, you know, tourist attraction. But it was like, you know, it was like basically everybody. I lived in a more or less like a shack, you know what I'm saying? And as the years went on, you know, additions went on to the shack to kind of make it more homely. But I remember, like, you know, just like looking, you could look through the floorboard and see the chickens underneath the house walking around, the whole full nine, you know, the dusty thing. Basically, the stove was... You put wood into the stove, and that's how you cooked your food, the whole full nine. Wasn't no plumbing. You wasn't flushing the toilet. You had an outhouse that you had to go to outside, and you know what I'm saying. And that was basically it. What the water wasn't no water. You had to go outside, pump the water, bring it back in the house in buckets and all of that. You know, it wasn't until like later on, you know, down the line that, you know, we got, you know, the modern conveniences of plumbing and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't have electricity?
Nah, basically everything was like, you know, like, you know, the lamps with the kerosene lamps.
Right, so you didn't have a radio in the house?
Oh, yeah, battery-operated radio.
Battery-operated radio?
Yeah, radio that everybody used to gather around, but more or less, I think even, you know, because I was real young at that time, I kind of vaguely remember those eras, you know what I'm saying, because... I think when I actually moved from South Carolina, I think I was like maybe about 5 years.
What year were you born? What was your date of birth? I should have asked you that.
In 1961, November 18th.
Okay. Now, so what do you remember about the food you ate in South Carolina?
A lot of pork, a lot of chicken. You know, it was like what we call field chicken. Field chicken is a lot different than the chicken you buy in the supermarket because, you know, when you grab a chicken and you wring his neck and pluck all the feathers off, you ain't gonna chop that up and throw it in a fryer because you pull out half your teeth trying to eat it. So like field, you know, it was a different process. You know, like I said, I was real young. I didn't know the process until like later on, but you know, it was like a lot of chicken that had to be kind of like boiled before you can even fry it, the whole full nine, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was a lot of trading going on because like it wasn't like we went to the supermarket very often, so it was like, you know, somebody would come around, they'd get a list. So the one guy come around with his truck, and then, you know, he go visit all of the people in the community. Oh, Miss Eula, what do you want? Miss so and so, and then he go around and get all the deliveries for everybody, kind of bring it back, and then more or less there was a lot of trading going on. Like my grandmother, she used to go stock up on sodas and beers and stuff like that. So she was like kind of like the little mom and pop store, so people used to stop there. Oh, Miss Eula, that's what they used to call her, Auntie Eula. There was Eula. I need some sodas. Sodas were like a nickel.
Right. Is your grandmother still down there?
Yeah, my grandmother, she's still down there.
Is she still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive.
How old is she now?
98.
Whoa.
98, 96, between 96 98. I don't know exactly, but somewhere in that range. She's still the sweetest person, but still will whip your ass if you get out of line. You know what I'm saying? She'll go in the field and get me one of them switches. You know what I'm saying? Pull it off a tree, and you better not come back with something small, because then she'll go out there, she'll get the whole tree and come back to whip your ass with it. You know what I'm saying? So she's still feisty. She's still hanging in there doing her thing. You know.
That's great. Now, you said before when you were 5 or 6, you moved to join your parents in Harlem.
Yeah, they had moved up. They had moved up from because like I said, the South at that time in the '60s, it was still really segregated, and the area we was in, I didn't really know too much about the racial stuff and everything like that, because I said I was too young to know about it. But as when I moved up here to New York, then that's when I found out that all of this was going on. We were being hung from trees and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Which at a young age was kind of disturbing to find all of that was out, and you were right there. But the area, like I said, that we lived, they didn't even have a bridge. You had to take a boat to go from Busey.
So you were in an island.
Yeah, we were on what's called a Gullah Island, or what we call it. The natives up there, we call it Tom Fripp.
How do you spell it? Tom
Frip.
Tom Fripp.
Yep. Tom Fripp. Fripp Island. There was Gullah Island. Or
now, are there bridges now? You still have?
Yeah. Now they got the modern bridges. They probably 2 months away from putting a toll on it and start charging people, because it's more of a tourist.
It's a resort area.
Yeah,
now,
it's a resort area.
Sports,
golfing, and all of that. I remember when it was like it was nothing but miles and miles of just black folks with scarves on their head, people walking around barefoot, the whole full nine. That was country living. Back then. But
now, you also, did you go to church down there?
That's all it was, man. South down south, people are very religious. So it's like I was practically born and raised in the church. I'm from an infant. I was back and forth to church. Right. Remember going to church with my grandmother, and back then there wasn't no certain roads. Most of the roads were dirt roads. The main road was like you had to walk a ways to get to a main road where it was paved, and we used to walk through the woods. Over the little ravines and everything. They didn't have no little overpass. You had a tree that they cut down and put over, so you had to walk over this tree to get over the waters or whatever the deal is. The church was the wooden benches or wooden floors, kind of tin shack type situation.
Right. Well, that was their music in the church.
Yeah, that's where I got all my music from the church. All of the influences that I use in my music today.
Was there rhythm in the church?
You talking about black folks, man? It's always rhythm when you got.
So what was a church service in South Carolina? You have people singing, but what else?
You have people singing. You might have a tambourine or two.
A tambourine.
You might have somebody with a washboard, washboard and a spoon. You gotta have somebody else with the string and the basin tub.
Right.
When they sit there.
So they make their own instruments.
Oh yeah. We had to go. We was poor. I tell you, we wasn't no or. We was just po. P-O. Or we couldn't even afford the rest of that.
Yeah. Now, did people get up and testify in church?
All the time, testify, catch the Holy Ghost, the whole thing. I remember.
So they speak in tongues.
Yes, I remember. When I was just little. I remember seeing that and was like, what's wrong with these people? What's going on here, man? Well, what's happening with these people? They jumping all over the place, falling out, and what I'm saying. But that was the way religious people celebrated their faith in the early South. You know what I'm saying? Well, I wouldn't call it the early South, because I wasn't around for the. My grandmother was maybe second generation free.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how the land that we got, that we're on, it was big time free slaves, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of it was like, horses and, you know what I'm saying, plowing the fields, farmers, the whole full nine, fishermen. So, to me it was a simpler time, I wouldn't say it was a better time, but I think taking in consideration the way the world's turned these days, I wish we could go back to some of those times.
Yeah. Well, you had enough to eat, and you had family, and you had people who cared about you. And
oh, yeah.
So
always.
Now, okay, so you go from the country in South Carolina to 149th Street and Amsterdam Avenue.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Big city was strange, because I remember my grandmother brought me to New York. We landed on 42nd Street, Port Authority. Yeah. And we took the bus.
Was this the Greyhound?
Yeah, we took the Greyhound.
What did they pack for you for food on the Greyhound? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I can't remember. Only thing I remember is because the only person I know, because I didn't really know my mother and father like that. I only knew my grandmother. Right. So, her bringing me up here for me to be with these strangers, she couldn't tell me that, because she know I was, even I wasn't going for it. I done ran out the house with her, but I never forget when I finally came up here and had to be with my mother and father, how I was just miserable, because when she left out, I'm saying, I wanted to leave with her, like, well, you leaving me with these strangers for? I don't know these people.
So how many other kids were there in the house with you?
Actually, it's 5 of us all together. I got 2 sisters and 2 brothers. Got 1 sister older than me. The rest of them are younger than me. And I was the bully of the bunch. But you know what I'm saying. Now we all get along. We got a nice tight family unit. We don't always like see eye to eye on everything. But in push come shove crunch type situation, you don't want to mess with one of us, because then you got to mess with all of us type situation.
So how big was the apartment that you moved into in Harlem?
In Harlem, we had what was it like a 2-bedroom. Me and at that time my youngest brother Michael wasn't even born yet, and me and my other brother Eddie was he was a little infant. When me and my 2 sisters used to have to share a bed. You know what I'm saying?
Share a bed, not a bedroom.
Nah, a bed. You know what I'm saying? And then my mother and father had their room, along with with my other brother Eddie. We were tight. But you know what it is? We came up from from living like that. You know what I'm saying? Basically, we were in the era where there were big families. Right. My mother had altogether it was 13 of them. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it was like those families were just naturally bigger back then. So we were used to like going over to a cousin's house and 6 to a bed, you know what I'm saying, lined up this way, that way, whatever the situation is. So that wasn't nothing new, but just like getting used to the city life, it was it was a different thing, seeing the big buildings and you know what I'm saying.
But what sort of work did your father do?
Auto mechanic.
He was an auto mechanic.
He's auto mechanic slash he was racing cars for a while.
Wow.
Until he got into a big accident and so I never forget. One thing I never forget that always stuck with me, because I didn't know how it happened. I found out later on that he was in the accident, but it's like he's got like a scar from all the way down here, and then he had this patch where he has to have to relieve that, all the inflammation and everything. Right. So you imagine seeing that as a young kid, and it just confused me, like, whoa, what the hell's going on? My father's an alien.
Now, what was what was school like for you in Harlem when you first went there?
It was tough, but for me, I was kind of like always one that always kind of like got in with the crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like when I moved to Harlem, it was just like it was a clique, like okay, this is the baddest clique in the school. Okay, I was down with that clique. Every school I went to, I was always in with the in crowd, more or less, not the in crowd that just wanted to go to school and learn and everything. Not the in crowd that kind of like Yeah, these are the kids that's running the school or whatever the deal.
The hangout crowd.
The hangout crowd, the whole full nine. Yeah. So you know, I remember when I first went to elementary school, and took a while before I you know, because I'm a country boy, and coming in, and I remember a lot of people used to like just like the way, or not even like, just make fun of the way I talk.
Right.
It's like, you say that again? Yo, listen, come over here, listen to how he talk. You know what I'm saying? So it took me a while before I got rid of that country accent,
right,
and I could actually just fit in. Like
now, what was the ethnic mix in your school? Was it were there Latinos there? Were there whites?
Yeah, I went to 186 in Harlem. It was like 145th Street between Amsterdam and Broadway, and it was a mixture of little bit, you know, little bit of white, but mostly Latino and majority black. You know
and were the blacks mainly from the South or some West Indians too?
A lot of them were like not too many West Indians. I would say a lot of them were like probably migrated from the South or whatever the deal is. But you know what I'm saying, more or less it was like the majority of like New York City urban, you know what I'm saying?
Now, what about the academic part? Did that come easy to you, or?
Well, I was always good with numbers. The math always came easy. I wasn't too great with the reading and social events. Like I go all around the world sometimes, and I got to still look on a map to find out where I am or what region I'm in, or whatever the deal is. But you know, more or less the academics. I learned a lot because the teachers then, you know, back then, you know, it was from what I see today, it was more of a different curriculum. They had a set plan on what you learn, different textbooks. I remember after getting up as far as high school, when I found out a lot of that stuff was irrelevant, that I had to learn all of them years. I'm like, what the hell I was in the class for all of this time for? But yeah, I mean, it was regular, you know, for that time. It's the regular academic education that you get in a public school.
Now, what were the streets like around your house, and at what point did you become like aware that there was a lot going on in the street?
Oh, in Harlem, Harlem was like the city that never, you know, the city within the city. You know what I'm saying? That was like the you know, you would see means to extremes. You see so and so with his little putting down the block, and then next thing you know, you see the pimp coming down the block with the big Eldorado with the chrome on it, all purpled out with the shag fur. You know, a lot of people see these in some of the blaxploitation movies. They like, wow, people used to dress like that in the hat and the big fedoras. And I was like, man, I lived through all of that, you know. And those are the guys like, wow, look at that car, look at that, look at his vines. You know what I'm saying? So it was you know, it was a whole different. It was you knew something was going on. You know, Harlem was like, you know, in the 60s, but you know, the 50s and the 60s, you know, Harlem was jumping. It was the place. People with all the Cotton Club, you know, the whole full nine. And it was like my introduction to like city life, you know what I'm saying, and New York City life, you know what I'm saying. It don't.
Now, what about the music?
Oh, the music! Come on, man. I grew up on like, you know, Gladys Knight and the Pips, James Brown, of course, who was I would say the biggest influence in my whole musical career, because I mean I remember James Brown since I was in the cradle, you know what I'm saying? So you know, that type of stuff, that, you know, the soul, the original rhythm and blues, you know, stuff. You know,
and was it played in your house also?
All the time. So all the time, my father would drive my mother crazy, because when we would be going, we would get up on Sunday to go to church. My father would come in from the night before, a little twisted and toasted, and blast James Brown and all the stuff. And then my mother, you know, I used to really tick off. As he come in, all right, get us all up out of bed. All right, come on in here and dance. All of you, we'd have to go in every time. Okay, then. Do that new dance, you know. And that was another thing. See, like, it was more family orientated. Like I grew up with a whole host of brothers and sisters, of course, but a bunch of cousins and uncles.
So you had a lot of people from your family in South Carolina up in this part, in New York.
I moved to New York, you know what I'm saying, uncles and aunts, and you know, when we get together on the weekend, it was like every weekend was a party. The kids, it'd be like 20 kids, and we all running all over.
Okay, so now one of the things I always ask is describe the food at one of your family parties.
Oh, it was never ending, and I mean, you know, it was chicken, ribs, collard greens, macaroni,
potato
salad,
excellent
yams,
potato salad,
yams. You know, all of my mother, my grandmother was both of them on both sides. Both excellent cooks, so all of that trickled down throughout all of the family. Mm-hmm. I mean, even most of my uncles are even excellent cooks. So if you get all of these cooking minds into one place at one time, it's going to be an explosion of food.
So this was like, was it called the Byas family? Or
no, it was it was a couple of different. Because
what were some of the names?
Smalls, Washington, Byas. What was the other? My uncles. Well, you know, the sisters went off and married, and this and that, blah blah blah. So the sisters that were here in New York was my mother, Ernestine, her two sisters, Arabelle and Noreen, and then later on the younger sister that came up to New York, Jenny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when they all got together, it was like them all, and then all of my mother and all her sisters were like, quote unquote kind of lookers. So it was like all of my father and all of his friends come through. It's like, trying to hook up with one of the aunts and this and that. So it was always that type of party, and they were, I guess they were in their mid to older 20s, 30s. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of a lot of just people that came from the South was having children at earlier ages,
right.
You know what I'm saying, 16, 14, whatever,
Now what church did you go to in Harlem?
In Harlem, we went to Greater Zion Hill Baptist Church.
And where was that located?
Originally 116th Street and Manhattan Avenue.
Okay, so that's pretty far from, it was a bus ride away?
Yeah, train ride, actually. That's why I started traveling on my own, because I used to go to church. I used to take my sister to church every Sunday on the train. So I started traveling on the train at the age of maybe by myself, probably like the age of 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? Learning the trains, how to get around, how to motivate around the city, how to read a train map, how to read any kind of map, whatever. So basically that's what I started out in the church choir, and then also became the drummer later on. I started playing the drums.
Now, did they use snare drums in the church, or
full drum set?
Full drum set.
Yeah, full drum set in the church. You know what I'm saying? When they found out, I used to play the bongos. Then when they found out that I had interest.
Now, where did you learn the bongos?
Just I guess it was in my blood.
No, because did they use things like bongos in South Carolina?
But of course, yeah. So
they did.
Even I knew that was what I was destined for, because I remember even from at an early age when I used to live with my grandmother down there, 2, 3. I can recollect going in the bottom of the cabinet, pulling out the pots. And taking a couple of spoons,
so banging the
lining up the pots on the floor and taking spoons and banging on them. So
now, were you aware of the Puerto Rican men playing drums when you came to New York? Was that something that made an impression on you?
No, not really. I didn't even know what a Puerto Rican was until I came to the Bronx.
Yeah. So that's when you really.
Oh yeah, when I was in Harlem, you know what I'm saying. Matter of fact, when I was in Harlem, I think I was in first grade, and I was just amazed, because I had this girl I had a crush on, and her name was Rosalia, and that's when you're young. You have no prejudice. You don't see people as white, black, Hispanic, or whatever. You just see people as, oh well, this person is that person, and you see people for what they really are. You don't start categorizing until you get older and you get taught that, okay, this person they're different than you. I didn't think it was like okay, I just was bizarre, because she had hair that came down to almost to her ankle, and to me she was just like the prettiest thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? I was like, never saw nothing like that. I was like, wow. So that
So it sounds like you have this thing where on the one hand you have this inability to connect with the hangout crowd, the street, and then you have this church side.
Yeah, because you know what it is there was always the inner bad boy in me, but also because of the way I was raised, that didn't take over my whole persona, because more or less I had the basic foundation that was instilled within me with my parents and how they brought me up. So I knew I couldn't stray from that and without disappointing them in that.
Yeah, but see, that's a very powerful thing what you described as somebody who had an inner bad boy but never let it totally take over.
Oh, of course.
And that was a very common thing that I came across. Mainly with people a little older than you, but really something that was very prevalent. And
yeah. I mean, I was your typical, boy.
Yeah.
I got in trouble all the time. I did things wrong. The teacher had to bring me home from school a few times, and the thing about it is that, all of that then, I didn't know it was for my own good, but as I got older, I was like, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad I went to church every Sunday, even though I didn't want to go to church, or whatever the deal is. Sometimes I didn't want to go, blah, blah, blah. Then after a while, we used to be in church from like Sunday school, 10 o'clock in the morning, till sometime 1 o'clock the next, in the morning, you know what I'm saying? Just like,
you'd be there all day.
All day. Sunday school, morning service, afternoon service, then evening service, revival sometime. Then on those special occasions where, we had the choir that we would go to different places. We'd have choir competitions where we had the baddest steps. We came.
Did you have a good gospel choir in that?
Oh yeah,
church?
yeah. We had our gospel choir was always in the top of the competition. Or a couple of years we won the competitions. We were up there with the best.
Wow.
We traveled, went down to North Carolina for a competition and all of this stuff. And then it was that aspect.
Is that church still there?
Great Zion. It's moved now. It's on 125th Street because it was there for quite some years. I think they just moved maybe about a couple of years. I haven't been there in so long. I know my mother's probably gonna look at this and go, yeah, you ain't been there a while, because my mother, where she was just like a usher then, and just going there, getting us to go every week to Sunday school and everything. Now my mother's she's like the mother of the church,
right?
Because she's been there for so long.
Now, does she still live in the Bronx?
Yeah, she still lives in the Bronx River Projects.
Yeah, we should interview her.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
No.
You don't want to do that. She don't like talking to people.
It's so okay. Now, at what point did you find yourself a Harlemite? Then when you said I'm from Harlem, and you realized that carried weight.
Yeah, well, it seemed like Harlem was just upbeat, to me, that's all I knew coming from down south. That was my initiation to because I remember I used to go back down south even when I was younger, and then I get with a couple of my cousins that never left from the south area, and they be like, "Red Dead, this boy got country blood and he got city blood in him." I was like, ain't got nothing but red blood in me, you know what I'm saying? You got that snappy, you got that snappy New York attitude now. It's like, y'all country bumpkins, And so, it was like, Harlem, you get a quick schooling in Harlem, because if you don't maintain that certain amount of, hey, listen, I'm able to hold my own, you will get walked over in Harlem, even especially in the school. In the schools, you know what I'm saying? If you wasn't tough enough, you would get bothered, you get jumped, you get your money taken every day. So you had to maintain a certain amount of even roughness, and you know what I'm saying, whatever the deal is. See, I had that both sides, because I was always ready to go and be the roughneck, but I would hate to see somebody else get picked on.
Now, one of the things I want to talk a little bit about is, if there were hustlers in your neighborhood, how would they deal with kids, and how would they deal with, let's say, grandmothers, mothers? Were these hustlers polite when they weren't being tough?
Yeah, it was a different type of, cat back then. They had respect for the neighborhood. They had respect for, They even had respect for the cops. The beat cop walking in, you know, the cops knew what was going, but they had respect for the elders. Some of them would you know, take out from what he's hustling, what he's doing to help Miss So-and-so upstairs with her bags. You know what I'm saying? Some kids down the block and they get into a scrap, you know, the number runner might come run out to break them up or whatever the deal. All right, y'all say sorry and shake hands. You know what I'm saying? It was more of a community-based thing. Even though he did his thing in the community, he you know he kind of know that, okay, the school grounds is off limits or this is or whatever, because he knew he would get retribution from the families, especially like you said, like the fathers in the neighborhood. Like my father, I'll never forget when the gang thing came up when I moved to the Bronx, and they like, you have to join the baby spades and this and that, or else, you know, we gonna jump you every day and this and that. And I was like, well, bring it on, because you know what I'm saying? I said, y'all might be bad, but I said, the baddest person that I know live upstairs in the house with me. I said, I'd rather fight y'all every day than to go upstairs and deal with him with some gang colors. So, you know, nevertheless, you know, it was a different mentality, even with the street thugs and the street element. They had a code of respect that, you know, I think no longer kind of exists, right? But only in certain individuals today. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I guess you become acclimated. You've worked everything out pretty well for yourself, you know, and then you moved to the Bronx.
Yeah.
What was it like to? And first of all, why did your parents move to the Bronx?
We had a big fire. Man, it was awful. I never forget that, waking up in the middle of the night and everybody screaming the building's on fire. And then we moved to the Concourse Plaza Hotel.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
It was one of those places where, you know, when a family gets burned out, it was like a shelter. Hey,
right.
We moved into the Concourse Plaza Hotel. I think we lived there for a few months. And then until they finally placed us, and the place they placed us with was Bronx River Houses.
Now, did your parents see that as a good thing, or?
Yeah, because you know, getting into the projects was a big deal at that point in time. You know, so we got into the projects. And
what year was that?
1970.
Okay, so 1970 it was still seen as a good thing to get into.
Yeah, to get into projects, because everybody was moving into the projects, and it was seen like the place to be, where you got one area with these big gigantic buildings that house so many people that, well, you know, for pretty much like you and your family are, you know what I'm saying, kind of the same bracket.
Right. Now, when you moved to Bronx River, was it mostly black or was it pretty mixed?
It was pretty mixed. Pretty mixed. Blacks, whites, Hispanic. You know, after a while, like in the 70s, I moved, they still had a lot of white families in there. Then they started slowly kind of like moving out. But you know, it was pretty mixed.
Right. Now, okay, you're the new kid on the block. So. What did you expect, and what did you find?
Oh, well, I expected to go up there and just be respected straight off the bat, because I'm from Harlem, you know what I'm saying? I'm shoving around my Harlem credentials like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't got to know. I'm from Harlem, on 49, baby. You know what I'm saying? I remember feeling homesick, and every chance I get, I used to hop on the train, go back, visit some of my friends up in Harlem and everything like that. You know, as time went on, those visits gradually, you know, decreased, but you know, and we got, you know, it was pretty much, you know, they knew, like, from the beginning, okay, this kid, he might be small, but he got a lot of attitude with him, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of blended in, met a bunch of, you know, it was easy for me to make friends.
Right. So you had social skills, and you knew how to, you know, make friends. You
make friends with different people, so it wasn't too long.
Okay, and so what grade did you move into? Were you into junior high or last year of elementary school?
Yeah, last year. Actually, yeah. I remember. I think that in Harlem, the schools went up to the 5th grade. Right. Then you graduated from the 5th grade. In the 6th grade, you started junior high school. And then I remember graduating in from 186, and then coming to the Bronx, doing 1 year, and then graduating again. Right. So you know, it was like you know, double graduation, or whatever the deal is. But I just kind of fit in, and just started, this and that. But I still had that Harlem attitude until one day, remember a kid by the name of Stephen Cooper. We became good friends, but I remember I was like, man, Bronx ain't nothing, man. It's all about Harlem. So everybody standing around, they didn't want to say nothing to me. They didn't want to say that. Stephen Cooper was like, I had enough of this. He took me right in the eye. I was like, all right, I guess the Bronx is a little something, something. So I had to learn that the hard way. You know what I'm saying? You don't come in nobody else's. Okay. You know what? I'll keep it to myself about Harlem,
Yeah. Now, how quickly were you exposed to the whole gang scene in the Bronx when you moved to Bronx River? Was that quick?
Exposed. It was. I mean, it was there immediately. It was there before I got there. So it was easy. It wasn't something like it was hard to spot. You know what I'm saying? The gang that was in my area was the Black Spades, and you know what I'm saying. Then it was always like rumbles between the Black Spades, the Savage Skulls, the Reapers, and what was it? It was another crew.
Were these gangs ethnic or racially based, or they were somewhat mixed?
Yeah, somewhat mixed, because the Black Spades, the Black Spades, they had white, blacks, and Hispanic and West Indian members. More or less like I'd say the Savage Skulls were more or less Hispanic based gang, but they still had black members.
Right.
Blah, blah,
so
blah.
It's where you live.
It's where you live, yeah, more or less, because you couldn't live over there in Southern Boulevard and be a Black Spade, because you know what I'm saying. It was
territorial.
Yeah, it was territorial thing. Now you could just not join the Shinglings or the Skulls or whatever, and then be a Black Spade on the down low. You get up in the morning, and you don't put your colors on until you get in another area.
Right.
But yeah, you didn't want to do that, because then it was too much territorial flat.
Now, did you see yourself doing music when you moved to the Bronx, or was mainly the church thing? Did you have a musical career outside the church? Yeah, basically, because what I used to do is, I used to bring my drums home from the church, and before I started doing like music on a DJing or producing or any of that type tip. I remember I used to come home and throw on the Earth, Wind and Fire long extended play album. Earth, Wind and Fire had those songs that you put on the needle on the record, and then a half an hour later it's ending. I used to just get on. So you had your drum set at home.
I used to carry the drum set on the train, like that's what you do when you dedicated to your craft. You do crazy stuff like that. So I used to bring the drums all the way home, set them up in my one room with the bunk beds that my two brothers used to sleep on the bottom, I used to sleep on the top, and it was hardly enough room. It was smaller than this room right here, and you know what I'm saying, I set them drums up and just wail away. And that was like, because people used to gather around in front of the building, and then it was y'all play that other beat, play the Apache beat. So basically, everybody.
Did you play any instruments in school, or were you in a school band or orchestra or anything like that?
No, not really. I kind of like just picked up the drums, and from being in church, and then we had a little, when we weren't doing the playing for the choir or playing for the ensemble or different groups in church, we used to go to the church like on the off days, and just like me, my cousin, Gary, blessed dead, my cousin Theodore, and we used to just go in there and just start scrapping, till the preacher would come in like, I know y'all ain't playing that music in the church, you know what I'm saying? So we used to go there and scrap, get our music on, it was always a support thing, and that we wanted to be involved with music, so that was like my introductions, just starting.
When did you start getting into to graph stuff? Was that in Harlem or
that was in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just like everybody was into it. I mean, junior high school, we used to.
This was like 71, 72, or later?
No. Actually, a little bit later. That would be like maybe 70, 73, 74.
Right.
70. And basically, when you're in junior high school, everybody had to. We didn't used to go to the store and buy those expensive markers. We used to have somebody throw out an old cigarette lighter. We go steal the blackboard eraser from the teacher, and you take that apart. You stuff that inside the cigarette lighter. Then you got the little flip top. So anybody see it, I just got a lighter. Meanwhile, you flip it over, you got a uni writer. You know what I'm saying? You get the Flowmaster ink, fill it up, and you know the band. We used to take the band roll on, the empty roll on thing.
Oh,
pop the ball off to the top, and fill that with the chalkboard eraser. Fill it up with Flowmaster ink, and the tagging thing I think became a part of our culture as a necessity to mark your territory, especially from the gang days. You know what I'm saying? You go into another gang area, in order to piss them off, so to speak, or you let them know you was there. You marked your territory. Hey, the Black Spades was here. Oh, these dudes came and invaded our territory.
Oh, okay. So a lot of it was that.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever get into the subway stuff or?
Yeah. I mean, everybody. We wrote. We weren't big time. We were amateurs, just playing around with it. You know what I'm saying? But we took it pretty serious. I mean, I had a book full of tags that I did, and it was just occupied a lot of my time as part of my art thing. Because at one time I was deeply into drawing and doing artwork. And stuff like that. So the graffiti phased from my artwork. It phased into me doing graffiti, just writing. Do
you have any of those books that you kept?
I still have some of the old books that I used to write all over them, but not the actual books. Over the years they just poof.
Right. Now, what about b-boying? Did you get into that?
Oh yeah, big time. Right after the graffiti my graffiti era, I got into b-boying because a lot of the cats, like I said, just following the crowd, and got to be very good at it. Actually, it was maybe about 2 or 3 cats in the area, in the whole area of you had all the projects. You had Bronx River, Bronxdale, Monroe,
right,
Sackburn, Castle Hill. And I say out of the whole territory, it was only a few cats that would be okay. I would say, okay, they're better than me or whatever the deal is. Because every time we go in the area, okay, the Zulu Kings are coming through. They knew when I came in the area, it's okay, you better be up on your best game because I'm coming over there to take you out.
Now, you use the term Zulu Kings. When did that become an identity for you?
Much later. It was like I said. I started playing with Bambaataa in I think in about 1975. Things happened a lot quicker than those days. People are like, oh well, how long did you stay with Disco King Mario before you went to Bambaataa?
Okay, so let's backtrack a little in terms of you're doing graffiti. You're playing drums, that's your instrument. You're doing artwork. Mm-hmm. You're starting the b-boy thing.
Oh, yeah.
So when does the DJing begin to enter it?
The DJing thing came into play with, I had a neighbor that lived down the hall from me on the 6th floor in the projects in Bronx River. And we started just seeing these other DJs. It was a cat named Tommy that used to come out, and he was a guitarist. But then he used to come out with his guitar head, and you remember the old Earth speakers with the looks like a couch with the plush buttons in it and all that. So he used to come out with the 2 Earth columns and his guitar head and 2 turntables and play music in front.
And this is outside.
Yeah, this is outside in the early 70s. 70, 71, 72. He come outside and start playing music in front of his building, and everybody used to flock in front of the building. And we used to do the bus stop and all of that. And basically that kind of inspired everybody who just oh wow, collecting music and getting.
So what was this guy's name?
What, the DJ or
the guy with the guitar?
His name was DJ Tommy. That's what,
DJ Tommy.
Yeah.
So this is before Bambaataa, before Disco King Mario.
This is like
DJ Tommy.
That was
nobody ever heard of.
What was his name? It's Tommy. He was one of the ex Black Spades. Right. Same thing. He was into music. He was in a band. He played band music. Up to then, it was only time we really got outdoor music would be same thing. Tommy come out, or when they bring the Jazz Mobile out around the way,
right,
and guys come up and play. So, me, Bam Bada, all of us, I remember Bam used to be traveling over in front of his building, and Bam was the one who started the, little dances. And
So when did you meet him for the first time? How was it?
well, Bam Bada was always there, kind of living in the same kind of area.
Is he older than you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bam's older than me. I wouldn't say about how many years, but he's a little older. Just being in the same area, you kind of know a little bit of everybody. It's like a small community. So basically, from that, me and, like I said, my next door neighbor Sylvan. We just started, collecting records, and then after school, after Spider-Man was off, he'd come running over to, we could actually see each other from, look to one side of the building and say, okay, Spider-Man's off, he'll come over with his records, and we'll sit there and listen to the records and, bust down some moves, whatever, move the living room table out. So that was our introduction, just doing that. Then I remember I moved into making like these little pause button 8-track tapes. Yeah, 8-track. My kids saw an 8-track tape the other day, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" But making little tapes and stuff like that. So that was like my introduction. Then
Now, at this time, were you aware of Herc and what was going on? In the West Bronx?
Actually not. It was like a vibe of what was happening. Herc, because then we had our DJs on this side, and then at that time, remember, it was like we were still relatively young, so it wasn't a lot of like traveling all the way to the other side of town.
So you guys were mainly 13, 14, 15?
Yeah, some, even younger than that, some of us. But, more or less, we had DJs on the side, on our side, like Cool D, DJ Hollywood.
Right.
Some of these cats who were like older cats that would just like throw parties. Some of them I don't even remember their name or probably never even knew them, But, we had those cats that were on our side of town. They used to throw parties in the community centers and stuff like that. And then, Bam used to, at that time, a lot of people used to throw house parties,
right?
Red light, green light, yeah, those type of parties where those were big back in, in the early 70s or whatever the deal is, from stemming from the parties that, your parents had.
Yeah.
And, so basically that was it. Once we started collecting records, me and Sylvan, we started, okay, we're going to get our own little crew together. So I don't even remember what the crew was called, but we just started, collecting some records. We didn't have no equipment, so we just take like a old headphone, plug it into your mother's stereo, and just fool around in the living room just for your own entertainment.
Right.
And that's how it all started for our own entertainment. And then after that, we started branching off, meeting people, and like my cousin lived in Soundview Projects, so I met a couple of cats over there who were into music, and that's how we formed a group called the Jazzy Five. Started collecting some records. We didn't have no equipment, so we just take like a old headphone, plug it into your mother's stereo, and just fool around in the living room just for your own entertainment.
Right.
And that's how it all started for our own entertainment. And then after that, we started branching off, meeting people, and like my cousin lived in Soundview Projects, so I met a couple of cats over there who were into music, and that's how we formed a group called the Jazzy Five. They were into music, I was into music, so I wanted to be the DJ, they wanted the MC, so it's like we started pooling our efforts to get equipment. So, one person to have a turntable, another person to have a handful of records, another person might have a receiver. One guy got a speaker up the block, or maybe his pops got 2 speakers, he can snatch them out. And then, that's how it all started. We just trial and error. I mean, it's like it wasn't no fancy equipment, but it was just something as long as people heard the music back then, no matter how distorted it sounded or whatever the deal is, they just flocked.
So it's all about the DJ at that point.
Oh yeah, it was all about the DJ in the beginning. That's the first line of defense. You know what I'm saying? Was the DJ.
Uh-huh. And was it that way in Harlem, or was this something that really happened that was different over there in the Bronx?
It was different in the Bronx altogether. That's what made me like, okay, I'm from the Bronx. Well, because it was an era, it was a vibe just brewing in the Bronx that I've never seen anywhere else.
Yeah, it sounds it. I mean, Harlem had its own thing.
Yeah, Harlem was more like I said. It was because I lived in Harlem in the earlier era, and it was more like, you know, the block parties, and they would have a live band come out, or if somebody was playing music, it would be like somebody brought their little house stereo out,
Yeah, right.
and played, you know, and just set it up outside with an extension cord from the window, played a couple of songs on the thing. That remember one record dropped out, then the next record dropped out, the needle get up and go back over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was that type of thing. I didn't get exposed to this like, wow. You know, I remember, you know, us taking apart like my mother's stereo. I took that apart. My mother, she wanted to kill me because I took the stereo apart and took the turntable outside and set it in a crate, and we was using that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna hurry and get it back to the house before my mother came home. But of course that didn't happen. She came over to see a hole where the record player was. You know what I'm saying?
So there was this whole thing with technology and electronics that people were experimenting with.
Yeah. Because I mean, basically, we knew nothing about what we were getting into, and of course, we didn't have no money to buy none of this stuff. So it was like, you know, somebody threw out an old turntable or whatever. You know what? You got that. You took that off. If it was broke, you went upstairs and you fiddled around with it until you fixed it, so you can have something that you can spin some music on.
Now,
you know?
where did you get the records from?
A lot of the records came from ill-gotten means. I mean, you didn't let me in your house and expect me not to leave out with some records. Some of them, we would, you know, we'd go downtown and spend all day. That's where, you know, records were like 99 cents. You know what I'm saying? And you could probably go find a store where some records were older. You pay 50 cents a quarter for. So, you know, we go downtown and just dig for records all day, man. I remember me and a couple of my partners, we go down to the village, and you know, you have like $20 in your pockets, and remember, $20 we used to come back with a stack of records. You know what I'm saying? Now $20 you might not even come back with one. You have to put that on layaway.
Right. So you had a sense that this was a way to really distinguish yourself at this point is by developing this skill.
Yeah, I had a passion for it, but the real deal, but most of us got involved with it for is because of the girls. All the girls love DJs, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo.
So when I came up, it was be a ball player.
Yeah,
So it was the DJ more than the ball player.
Well, you know, ball players had their own clientele, but if you was spinning the music, you was the man. You had them like, come on, man.
Even more than a ball player.
Oh, more than a ball player. Man.
That's a big change.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you had a lot of talented people going into this. Because it sounds like you have a musical background. You also have an artistic side, you have a technical side, so they all kind of came together.
Yeah, they kind of like all work hand in hand to help me out with my.
Now I'm going to let Charlie ask you questions about the techniques of this, because I'm not, you know, it's not my generation. So
So in the movie Scratch, you told a story about getting your first shot with Bambaataa, that he was missing some turntables or something, and you could just.
Yeah. What happened was, like, let me start off with the Disco King Mario situation. Basically, I had work. I remember, and when I finally said, you know what, I got to get me a job. I got to get me a real setup. I worked youth corps one summer, the whole summer, and saved up all my money. At the end of the summer, I bought me a pair of Techniques 210s and a Gemini mixer.
Do you remember what year was that?
That had to probably be like 72, 73, 74, 73, 74, around that era. Because I remember I worked that whole summer, got my turntables, boy, I was on point now. Because, you know, now I'm starting to get a little bit of a rep from just like just being a junkyard DJ and just playing, you know, more or less. We were like you ever seen the Cosby Show? The Cosby kids, they playing on the stuff in the junkyard and blowing the radiator. That was us, you know what I'm saying? So basically now you're starting to get a little bit of rep. Now it's time to step up your game plan. So after I got that, me, Sundance, Ice, Freeze, these are guys that I teamed up with from Soundview. We started doing like Everything's cool?
Everything's great. Yeah.
Okay.
I just
We started doing like just playing outside in the park. You know, so every chance we could, we just go outside and just start playing. And so people come around. Oh yeah, them boys are good. Blah,
Now,
blah, blah.
where did you get your electricity when you did the?
We plugged in a lamp pole, either in a lamp pole or we might get electricity from somebody's house on, the first floor.
Now, one question: what about the police? Did they bother you?
Nah, it was more or less a little more freer then. You know what I'm saying? As long as we used to play music sometimes till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. No police come by. They come by and hang out and sit down and listen to the music.
And the older people didn't mind?
Nah, the older people was down with it because it's like even when the police used to come by later on and bother some of the DJs, and you hear Miss Johnson hanging, leave them boys alone. They could be outside robbing somebody, hitting somebody side the head. You know what I'm saying? They ain't doing nothing to hurt nobody. Leave them alone. Police they go on about their business as long as some people in the community always I gotta get up and go to work in the morning. Y'all gotta turn in, so you got hit from both sides. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the deal is, some people will call the cops on you, but for the most part, kind of the community embraced it because it was that energy and it was something new. It was like something fresh. And the community embraced it. So back to the story of the turntables. So as we started getting a little bit of rep, Disco King Mario was like, who was never much of a DJ. He didn't really have much of a collection, but he had the system of doom. It's like to play on Mario's system was just like you in the big leagues now. That was he was like the god of in our era. Macintosh 2300 amplifier. What was Electro Voice? What he had? What was those Electro Voice they used to have?
I'm not even sure.
I forgot the name. Man, Electro Voice bass bands. He had 4 of them with the street lights and the big horns. Yeah. And when he turned on, it was like roof. I would just bark through the.
So it wasn't so much that he was a skilled DJ.
No, he just had the sound, and he'll blow you out. You could have all the records. You come outside, and Mario just set up, and then he turned them knobs up. You couldn't even be heard, so you might as well just pack up and go home. Yeah. But so that was the deal. So then I started,
was he a lot older than you guys?
Yeah. He was like the next couple of maybe 4, 5, 6.
Right,
that generation gap, a little bit older than us. So I started getting down with Mario. By then I had started really up in my collection. I got down with like Africa Islam. We became real tight, so we started really digging and hunting for records.
What was Africa Islam's connection to Bambaataa?
Islam was quote unquote the son of Bambaataa. Bam's kind of like christened him to be like the younger generation, the generation of me, Islam, Grand Mixer DXT, Grand Wizard Theodore. Who else was in that? Breakout, DJ Barron, Charlie Chase, Tony Tone. We were like underneath the cats, like the 3 top. We consider like the first string. That would be like Africa Bambaataa, right? Grandmaster Flash, right? And the father, of course, Kool Herc.
Okay, and they were like 4 or 5 years older than you guys.
Yeah. They were what we would call the foundation.
And what about where did Mario stand in relation to
Mario was in that generation, but he wasn't. Mario was just more like a guy who came outside, and he was a foundation of hip hop, but he didn't lay down the groundwork.
Right. He didn't mix things together. He had the system, but not the skills.
Right. See, Mario was a pioneer. Don't get it wrong. But Bambaataa, master of records. So you knew when you go to a Bambaataa party, you go into a hip hop party, you gonna hear a selection of music that you may not hear anywhere else ever. Grandmaster Flash, turntable god. Right. So it's like when you go to see Flash on the turntable, be prepared to be shocked and amazed.
Right.
Kool Herc, the founder. He's like, when you go, it was just like, yeah, you might as well bow down. He was the creator. If it wasn't for Kool Herc, we wouldn't be doing none of this hip hop stuff.
Right.
So that's how we define that. Now Mario, you had Mario, and you had a lot of other cats that were in that era that were almost just the same. They were not saying that they were less than any of the other ones, or good, or they weren't good, or whatever the deal is. But they, it was just a little, little different flavor. You
gotta switch the tape.
Okay. You okay with this? You having fun?
Yeah, man. Let me know if I'm talking too much, man.
No. We got more than 3 tapes.
I ain't on all that much now.
Well, it's gonna take all afternoon.
Oh, yeah, all right.
I'm gonna kid.
No. Well, we don't make people go more than 90 minutes at one shot.
It's all good.
Just rolling now.
Okay. So, were people outside the Bronx starting to hear about what was going on in the Bronx?
Yeah,
Did you have people from Harlem come over the Bronx River?
You couldn't contain it. I mean, it's like it didn't like creep like then 6 months down the line, somebody Harlem go, hey, yo, you heard what they doing in the Bronx? No, it was like automatic. As soon as Kool Herc started coming out, I think some people from Harlem and other surrounding boroughs started coming to them, coming before some of the people in the Bronx made it over to Kool Herc.
Did you have people from Harlem come to Bronx River?
Oh yeah. It was like it was automatic. People from Harlem, people from all of the boroughs, because you gotta understand, like people that lived in the Bronx also had relatives that lived in Queens, so it was like, yo, they get on the phone, yo, you gotta come over here, they jamming out in the park today, a train ride away, boom, they're there, so.
Now how did Bambaataa end up using the Zulu Nation to keep the gang thing a little more under control?
We'll get to that in a second. So what happened was Mario. I got down with Mario through another friend of mine, Sundance. I was dead MC Sundance, who just said, "Yo, man," he used to just go and just MC for Mario every now and then. Then he told Mario about me, so we went over there. Mario auditioned for Mario, got down with him for a while, and then got confronted by Bambaataa saying that I was giving away the Zulu beats to the enemy, because everything was a competition back in those days. It was like one DJ against another DJ, one crew against another crew, whatever the deal is. But more or less they have more in common than just.
Now, when you said MCing, what would the MCing consist of in that time?
More or less, at that point in time, the MCing would consist of anything from yes, yes, y'all, to the beat, y'all, to clap your hands to the beat, to so-and-so, your mother's at the front gate, and she looks pissed. I think you better go right now. That was the worst thing you be in the party, and so-and-so, your mother's at the front door, and everybody, your mom's came to get you. That happened to me a few times. We be downstairs in Bronx River, we be partying, and my mother come downstairs in her slippers and the rollers in her hair, the bathrobe, and I used to always send my sister out first, because you don't want to get, so I used to be like, so your mother's at the door, and I would go grab my sister, go, you go meet her, man, you know what I'm saying? I always wait till they gone, walk out like, But the whole thing is, when I got down with that, that's basically what the MCs do. It evolved into what you see today. But that's basically the primeval stages of it. Then I remember one day Mario was playing in the park. I was playing with Mario, and Bambaataa came up and played on Mario's set and started passing me records. Like, he passed me the record and pointed. I was like, wow, Bambaataa passing me records. So me and him kind of clicked from that day. We just started, talking here and there. Being that we lived in the same projects. And then one day I remember Bambaataa going playing a place in Yonkers on School Street, and his turntables broke. So Aziz, which was one of the Zulu members from that was down with Bam, it was originally like only about 7 to 11 original members, and he came upstairs, knocked on my door. Yo, Bam needs some turntables. I told you before he can get the words out, I had the turntables packed in the box and was knocking on Bam's door like, here, use them, please. So not only did he use the turntable, but he took me with him and let me spin with him that night, and we've been together ever since that night.
Now, the spinning itself, what did that consist of? to somebody who's not a DJ? How would you explain what was what you were doing?
Okay, well, the hip hop DJ, the true hip hop DJ, is one that plays obscure and uncommon beats, rhythms, and flows. And a lot of times they're not the full song; they're just snippets of maybe the energy part of the song that we kind of dissect and extend through our talents of quick mixing.
Right.
So in order to extend it and keep the party people dancing and keep the MCs flowing. That's why you see a lot of music today is derived from the scratching and not really scratching, but the cutting and the quick cutting and stuff like that of records, because we used to take like maybe 30 seconds of a record and extend it to like 4 or 5 minutes.
So how would you extend the section?
You extend it by just that little part of the record, picking up the needle, mixing it in, putting that same. You'd have to have two, of course, of the
same record, and then you move back and forth.
Just keep that beat going, and those who had skills, like the Grandmaster Flashes, Theodore, myself, those that would be able to even catch that quick beat. That even if it went by real quick, they'd be able to keep that going for a long period of time and keep it rhythmic.
And you have to see it on the record.
Oh no! At that point in time, they did come up with the technology so that you can actually cue. So while this one is playing, you're cueing the next one to send that one into play, and then you cue back and forth on the headphones. So you can actually pre-cue. Now, when I first started out, we started out on the subpar equipment where there was no cueing. Well, that's what came in handy, where you would actually put your ear to the record and hear when these parts would come up.
Wow. So what would the skill set was? Knowing how to use the equipment. And also having a sense of knowing what rhythms to find.
Knowing what rhythms to find, and because the DJ is only as good as his selection and the talent that he uses to put it together.
Right.
So basically, knowing the music to play, knowing how to program it, knowing how to keep it flowing, knowing how to switch up into different music without throwing everybody off balance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go from some crazy upbeat tribal sign us up into like a Neil Sedaka song. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna definitely kind of screw everybody up. So knowing how to put all of that stuff together, which is the definition of the true.
Now, did you have a trait, something that distinguished you from other DJs in terms of the kind of music you found or your technique? If you were to say, well, what's your
trademark?
Yeah,
my trademark was basically I was one of the like what they call fastest DJs at that time, and the trademark would be like I would always develop like different types of ways to actually blend and put, and we played a lot of the records so many different times. I knew every inch of it, so I would be able to develop new and different ways of playing it. You know what I'm saying? That's how like people like Theodore got his trademark was he was credited to inventing the scratch.
Right.
So basically, what happens is we would always try to invent new techniques, back spinning, needle dropping, quick cutting, actually taking the song and making different beats up out of the song, so you can actually manipulate the record and change it into something that you could be your very own. So that's more or less like what my forte was.
And with Bambaataa, it was finding records that no one ever would have dreamed of.
Finding the records and being able to program in such a manner that sometimes it would get people frenzy. I mean, he still does that today. He's not the fanciest DJ or the most incredible to watch, but I mean the way he puts together a program of music, it just captures.
So it's the knowledge of the music,
and how you package it and deliver it to the audience.
So Beatman was telling me that Bam used to soak his records in the tub and get all the labels taken off. Maybe you could explain how DJs back then would try very hard.
I would think I don't know if he soaked them in the tub. It's more like we used to steam them off. Where you steam, you put them over the stove and then you steam it till it get buckly and because a lot of people are into into like the secrecy of the music. So a lot of music had leaked out here and there, but and you wanted to be known as the one. I brought this out. You know what I'm saying? So that was the big thing. Not only being able to be a skilled DJ, but to be able to play that song that no other DJ would play, and then everybody else would hunt for. Yo, you heard that record so and so play? So that was.
Were there any particular records that you like kind of discovered that like before anyone else?
There was a few.
There's
a few that
tons.
Yeah, there's a few
Don't be
that
so modest. There were tons.
There was a few that I brought out that I started playing before a lot of people, but it's like I was one that would never really hide because I always wanted to keep my regular. I would never. Sometimes I used to kind of tape over the name or whatever the deal is, but eventually, it's like. Everybody would find out, say through some other means. But there's a bunch of records that we brought out that we call them the sacred crates.
The sacred crates. Yeah. I never heard that term before.
Yeah, sacred crates are those crates in which the whole culture of hip hop was built on. You know what I'm saying? It's those catalog records like Bob James 2, The Nautilus, Shaft in Africa, Flip. All of these songs, Catch a Groove, that
Champ out of Mall.
All of these songs that just like define what we did.
Did you ever put together a collection of these and then as a CD and then market it?
Yeah, you know what? But it's been done to death so many times. Yeah,
it's been done in a sense.
Yeah,
it's with the Ultimate Breaks and Beats and all that compilations.
Right.
Well, like pattern after what these guys used to originally play.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So those were like the sacred,
Okay.
And then, but it goes even deeper than that because there's records that they might have played just once or twice in their parties, and you'll never hear it again on any other tape. And it was like, what the fuck was that? And I'll ask them, I'm like, Jay, what is this record? Yo, man, I can't remember that. It was like 25 years ago. And the label was off from it. And, Bambaataa just pointed and told me what to play, and that was that.
So we were responsible for bringing a lot of joints to the sacred crates, but
And it's still around. There's a lot of records that to this day I'm still looking for, and that's real rare. For me, because I've been around.
Yeah, Dan is still. He takes much pride in what we used to. I mean, we used to go in a record store, and when we leave out, we'd be all hair filled with white dust, arms all ashy. I mean, and you be there all day. We used to just buy records just for the sake of look at an album cover. They had afros and some bell bottoms. You know what? Let's buy that. And then it was 9 times out of 10 you might have got a dud, but it's that 10th one.
Wow.
Which was a joint that bang. You know what? We got a winner right here. So
that's right.
That was it.
Those were the good old days.
How often were you doing these park jams or DJing? Was it like a weekly thing or monthly, once a month?
Nah, we were doing it every chance we get. Sometimes we'd come out one day, then the next day just come right back out again, because it was something we had a passion to do, you know what I'm saying? Plus, like I said, put out the jam, brought the system out, the girls flocked around. It was a good thing. It was a win-win situation.
Yeah. Now, you also mentioned before that you developed another profession while all this was going on. Or was that later?
What you talking about?
The carpentry.
With the carpentry. That's how, basically, when me and Bambaataa teamed up. Now, at this point in time, now I'm interested in the sound, the big sound. But also, I knew that we couldn't really go and pay the big money. So most of the sound systems that we played on back in the days all got built by my hands and my partner. We had brought another partner, my partner Superman.
Okay, so
we built the whole sound system because of my skills with carpentry. That's how a lot of the stuff that the amps and stuff. We built the racks. We built all. We soldered all the wires, so we kind of, built the whole thing, and that was just from the skills that I developed, because, like I said, in school, I was always interested in the carpentry and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So basically, when I got out, I got a job. We were still doing parties, even after I graduated from high school. But then we was in the thick of things. You talking about? Now I graduated high school in '79, mm-hmm. and it was just like. It's 79 now. Let's make sure we got the right equipment. We we doing it. I started working in the construction field, cabinet making first, in a little shop in Long Island City, and then later on moved up to doing rough construction and houses and right. outdoor, the heavy construction building. Did the Barazano Bridge. We built the pier at Hunts Point. I was involved with that project. We did work on several locations and piers out in Staten Island. So I had a knowledge of all tools and stuff like that, and I knew that, listen, I can go in the store and look at these speakers and say, take my tape measure with me, take a couple of measurements, and then go home, write down the blueprints, go to the lumberyard, pick up some wood, go to the store or Canal Street, buy the bare woofers and the
right.
tweeters, and then come home, put them in the boxes. And you know what? It was compatible with a lot of the big sound systems that people spent thousands of dollars on.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to leave the rest to you guys because I got some work to do. So, and I'll come in when you finish. But this is amazing, man.
Okay.
So. I'll be right down the hall. So just keep going, and I'll just
get ready to yank.
So, I guess there was a time where, in the early days, the DJ was the center of hip hop. And then, when would you say that the paradigm kind of shifted more to the MC?
Yeah, the early days was all about the DJs. Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, DJ Breakout and Baron and the Funky Four, so on and so forth. Yeah, because the DJ was the man. Because you know what I'm saying. Basically, like I said in the beginning, only thing the MC was, you got to move your car, so and so, or so your mother's at the door, blah blah blah. It didn't evolve into MCs doing routines, and it was always the DJ and his MCs. Now, when everything started switching was basically when it started going to making records and stuff like that. Because now you got the element, they got the senses that, hey, we can go in the studio and we don't need the DJ to spin records for us. Now we can go. So that's when the whole paradox switched, and the MC became the focus of the thing. More or less, the focus left off the DJ, kind of went towards the MC.
Towards around 1978, the start of it.
Yeah.
Up until 1980, that's when it took over. Shift.
In about, I would say, because there was still a lot of crews which was still DJ MC oriented, but then it started teeter-totter. By like 85, it started really, because then you had crews, you had MCs that were coming out that never even really had a DJ. They just came out just for the sake of making records. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then it says on Wikipedia that you were involved with the early days of Def Jam, that actually maybe you introduced Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin. Maybe
Def Jam Records was started out of the trunk of my 1979 Chevy Caprice Classic. All right, Rick Rubin used to follow me around from club to club, and I was playing in this club called Danceteria one night when he introduced himself. Blah blah blah. We became friends. I did a couple of parties with him. We did the whole college.
So he was a DJ too?
Nah, he wasn't. He called himself a DJ, but any kind of DJing skills he picked up from hanging out with me, and I taught him how to make beats, the whole full nine. He just wanted to break into the hip hop business, and he didn't really know how to go about it. So figured, let me hang around with Jay for a little while, blah blah blah. Then he came and was like, yo, listen, I want to start a record label. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, he said, yo, I want you to be my partner. I was like, no problem. Any excuse to go in the studio was no excuse with me. I lived in the studio. Plus, I was playing in just about every major club in New York City. So it was like, okay. I'm like, yo, start a record label. And it wasn't that I started Def Jam to just like make a whole bunch of money. Come on. At that time, it was like a lot of independent labels, and everybody was pretty much doing their thing. So the independents was like doing their thing. So we went in. All three of the first records are all basically all me. I actually, not on. Besides being the owner, besides being part owner of the record, I was the only artist on the label besides T. La Rock. First record was It's Yours, Def Jam 001. It's Yours by T. La Rock and Jazzy Jay. All right. 002 was a song called Cold Chillin' in the Spot, Jazzy Jay. Flip side 003 was a song called the Def Jam, which we made to introduce the label Def Jam. Now then, basically, we kind of struggled with that for about a year. Some people
in the early 80s.
Yeah, this was like 84 to 85, and basically, only person that was playing was my cousin Red Alert. A couple of other people playing it underground. Yeah, so a couple of people playing it underground, but not too much of a buzz, this and that. Meanwhile, it was making a big buzz in Florida, so we was running back and forth, and being that Russell was like more or less like booking a lot of acts. He was booking a little bit of everybody.
So he was more like a promoter. At
yeah, but Russell was more of a booking agent. Russ artist management. He was managing artists. Now we never signed with Rush, but he would book shows for us here and there now and again. So he was booking me and T. La Rock at the time. So I had introduced Rick to Russell at Danceteria one night. They hit it off. They became friends and so on and so forth. So what happened was, at that time, the record industry didn't even take hip-hop seriously. You know what I'm saying? The radio wasn't really playing it. Whatever the deal is. And they wasn't giving up no budget money for nobody. The biggest deals that were cut in hip-hop were all cut by like mainstream or young Jewish professionals, Leor Cohen. So at that point in time, they wasn't going to give me $1 million. They wasn't going to give Russell $1 million. Two black kids from the projects in Queens or the projects in the Bronx. But on the other hand, Rick Rubin, who has ties into, like, his father was like head of like Kenny Shoe Corporations or something like that. So, and plus they had little legitimate ties within the business. Plus, it's like, okay, we'll give you the money. You keep the Jungle Bunnies in order. So that it was that type of thing. So when the money came involved, Rick forgot he had a partner. Plus it was like a situation where in the beginning he was actually teamed up with Special K from the Treacherous Three, who's T. La Rock's brother. Special K was supposed to do It's Yours, but being that he was signed to Sugar Hill, he couldn't do it. So that's when he wrote the song. Special K wrote it. I did the music and the scratching. Rick did some of the beats, and we went ahead and put it. It was just like put it like this, a handshake between two friends. Oh, hey, let's start a label. Oh, okay, let's go ahead, let's go do it. And then when the money came involved, one party just like kind of like outs the other party, and that's the whole situation that happened with the Def Jam situation.
So you never really saw any royalties? Or?
I think I saw about $600 from It's Yours in the beginning, and that's about it.
And so him and Russell just kind of cut you out.
Yeah, but see, that was the whole thing. That was Rick's plan from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't see into the devil's plan for the little too deceptive. But so like I said, he was with Special K when he found out that. It's like, oh, I can get with Jazzy Jay and I can take him to a higher level. Yeah. That's when he cut out Special K. Now I didn't even know about that part of it. That's when I introduced him to Russell and he saw that Russell can take him to another level. That's when I got ousted out. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's the whole deal with that.
So you've also done production as well as DJing.
Man, I produced just about a little bit of everybody from everybody come straight throughout from like the mid to early 80s on up to like the mid to late 90s, and a little bit of everybody. When I had my recording studio, a little bit of everybody flowed through there, from KRS-One, Latifah, Tribe Called Quest, you name it, Public Enemy, KRS-One, Bambaataa, Soul Sonic Force, the list goes on, and because it was more like an environment where it was more like home instead of an industrial, let's go on and record a record type of environment. This was like, hey, let's go in and have a jam and record it. You know what I'm saying? That was more or less the feeling that was floating around in the building of Jazzy Jay recording studio.
Okay, and so it mostly started out in front of your building or in your room. Maybe you could tell us some of the places that DJing has allowed you to go, like some of the countries or just some of the venues that you.
Well,
some of the most
DJing has took me around the world. I mean, I've been, you name it, Australia, Japan, London, all of these places I've been like several times. You know, Amsterdam, Africa. Been to Israel, China, you know, places that people like would dream. Canada, of course, you know what I'm saying. Places people dream of going. You know what I'm saying. The whole South America, Ecuador, you know, just so many places, man. And you know, it's just like, you know. Got love from so many different cultures of people that appreciate the work that we put in. So, you know, it's been a hell of a roller coaster ride, and it ain't even over yet. You know what I'm saying? That's the crazy thing about it. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I mean, I took a whole full 10 years off from DJing when I was doing the producing and starting and messing around Strong City Records. You know, from 85 to like 95. All I did was just mainly studio. I was DJing here and there, little events here and there, but I was mainly focused on studio and doing that stuff. So took off 10 years from DJing, and then came back in 95. It was like you know, just never skipped a beat. It was a little rough in the beginning getting back in, but once I started pedaling, the uphill became downhill, and you know, yeah, you know what I'm saying. That was it.
You have any questions then?
My question is, what was your most favorite city that you had out of this, you know, out of New York or out of the country? Which was the best jam you threw outside?
And what was it like?
A different country. And how were the people?
Well, there was a few of them. One that sticks out because it's just me on a solo tip was when I played in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
I played in Edinburgh, Scotland, and it was a jam-packed house. And then I was like, wow, this is all, you know, just for little old me. And was able to play an eclectic collection of music from everything from funk to soul to disco to slow music. I was playing slow jams. Wow. You know what I'm saying? That's and I was able to play around the board. And at the end of the night, the roar that came out of these people was like, you would have thought I was Michael Jackson or something. I was like, yo, come on, man, y'all better stop this. Y'all gonna make me blush. Yeah, and then there was another one that I remember when I was with Soul Sonic Force. We played in this park called Carowinds. It is it's an amusement park that's in the middle of the Carolinas, right on the borderline of North and South Carolina, and it's a big park. And we played there, man, to like tons of people, and it was one of those harmonious things, and you know what I'm saying, the whole full nine, girlies after the party, the whole whoa, that was good. That was a good time right there too.
Wow. That's great. Played in like arenas with like.
Oh yeah, we played a little bit of every, just you know, because you know, so Planet Rock was that type of song. It catapulted us into the league of like we were kind of on the same level, record for record, as Michael Jackson at that time when Planet Rock came out. We performed with a little bit of. We performed with Prince, Parliament Funkadelic, Ashford and Simpson, Cameo, Zap, I mean, let's go. We performed with some heavyweights. So we performed in 50,000-seat arenas. Wow. Then we performed in little places like Collard Greens, Mississippi, where the guys holding the wire into the speaker. You ever seen like them things where you know the Chitlin circuit where all five guys are like the Temptations, they all five of them on the same microphone trying to sing, and you know we played Mean Six Streams, and you know I don't regret any of it, you know what I'm saying? Some of it I would like to do over again, you know what I'm saying? Because maybe we could do it a little bit better.
What were you getting paid for these early things, or were you getting even paid for like the jams and then maybe some of the bigger
No,
like, was there a break where at one point you were getting nothing and then it just all hit, or was there?
Yeah, it was. Well, here's the from the beginning all the way up to now. In the beginning, when we were plugging into lampposts and we were, building the speakers and going out there, we were basically playing for free to set up a clientele for the winter, so that when we go into the community center, into the indoor spots, we get people to start paying that $5, $3, or whatever it is at the door. So that was the build up.
And the promoter would then pay.
No, it was no promoter. We were our own promoters.
Okay.
So we just put out the flyers, and then blah blah blah, and then we're gonna be at Bronx River Center, or we're gonna be over here. So it was good and lucrative because everybody wanted to be at the parties at that point. Yeah. Then it got to a point where it's dry spell, where it wasn't as popular. People started going after the Treacherous Threes and the groups that were on vinyl. That the big shows. Okay, one time Treacherous Threes, blah blah blah, Furious 5, and so on. So you had to do shows like that, and then eventually we got into that with the Jazzy 5, and then eventually Soul Sonic Force got into those. Then when we did Planet Rock, it skyrocketed to a different level where we were getting a salary every week, plus we were getting money on after all expenses. So let's say we were getting $10,000 a show, we get a salary every week, and then at the end of the tour, whatever wasn't taken out in salary, we all split the pot of what was left over after the tour bus and all the hotels and everything. So let's say at the end of the month it might be 10 grand left over. We would split that amongst the group. Then it went from there. We came back, settled back down home. Bam started doing his DJing. I started going into the studio a little bit more and doing other projects for other label. I did stuff for Next Plateau, for Elektra, for all of this stuff. So I started broadening my horizons and doing other things. And that cost comes with a different pay tag. Sometimes you can produce a song and get 30 grand right up front, or you can produce a song and get a handshake. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a sliding scale. Then you move into the era where we started taking DJing downtown. Now we ain't gotta lug the big speakers and all and on turntables and all the equipment no more. We just gotta show up with our records and go to the club. They got all the equipment there. And the first it was like moderate, which was good for us because no wait. We go over there with records and sometimes turntables and get paid just as much as if we went out, handed out flyers all week and promoted it, then get to the party, bring all this equipment set up, play it all night, take it down, take it back home. So it was like, oh wow, you're gonna pay me just all I gotta do is just bring records. Then it got into eras like we playing in the major clubs, like I think we hold a record in the Roxy's for packing in 4,000 people on a New Year's Eve night. You know what I'm saying? And that came with a whole different price tag with it. Playing in the big clubs and then playing in smaller clubs. But to the point where now I'm doing like my own DJ tour. So you can get anywhere from a promoter that might want a short chain. You might get a grand, anywhere up to like maybe 10, 15 grand just for going to do your thing. So it's a lot of different scales and a lot of different ways you can price this thing. But you know what? Just don't never price yourself out of the game. I never do that.
So back to the Planet Rock record. Now you produced that, right?
Yeah.
How did that work out with Kraftwerk? Because I know that's originally their record, right?
Yeah. Well, Kraftwerk had love for us. I think. See, basically,
you guys talked to them before?
Yeah. No, we didn't talk with them because remember that was back in the days when we were young, dumb, and ignorant. We just wanted to make a song, and being that it wasn't an outright take, we replayed it, but the melody still, you can still tell it was. But because that was basically a routine between myself, Bambaataa, and the three MCs, and which was the three records, Super Sperm, Tranship Express, and which one? What was the other one? And Numbers. So basically those were three songs we used to mix together, do a routine. So Tom Silverman used to come up, blah blah blah, a lot of our parties up in the Bronx, whatever the deal is, T Connection and all of that. So when Tom used to come, he was like, okay, I like that routine y'all do, blah blah blah. So they got a tape of the routine. John Roby, who was like more or less the programmer at that time, said, okay, instead of trying to do a live band feel, because it wasn't that much sampling going on in that era.
Yeah.
So okay, we do electronic feel. When Planet Rock was done, actually, to tell you the truth, when I first heard it, I didn't really like. I kind of liked it, but it was so different than anything else that was out there at that point in time. I didn't know how it would be perceived. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad I didn't hold the final vote on that one, because that one record took us around the world. You know what I'm saying? Germany, Paris, Italy, that all over the place.
What was the response from people in other countries?
Oh, Planet Rock
couldn't speak the language.
It was huge. It was huge, because even if they didn't speak the language, they knew every word.
Yeah. Wow.
They knew every word to the song. So even if they didn't speak, like you go to a lot of places, they might not speak the language, but they know every word. They can sing. You go to Puerto Rico, you got Spanish, you got Puerto Rico that can't even speak a lick of English, but they know every word to a Jay-Z song.
Yeah. Right.
Some people learn how to speak different language by listening to the songs.
Yeah. So I guess being that they don't really produce vinyl at the same level that they used to, how do you think that DJing has changed? Or maybe you could talk about the new technologies or your involvement with the Rain and with Serato. Well,
you know what? I would say like this: it took a little bit of the heart out of the game when it stopped, when the vinyl train stopped. You know what I'm saying? But like anything with technology, it's always going to advance. So you got to keep up with it, but never neglect what got you here. So even though you use the technology, every now and then whip out a 45 on their ass and fuck their heads up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though I keep on top of I always kept on top of technology from when I was building amplifiers back in the days up until now, when I'm using computers to do my DJing along with me, not for me now.
Yeah.
As alongside, you know what I'm saying. So now with programs like Serato, which allows me to keep all my thousands of songs in a laptop size of this big, I can now take even songs like I remember going to England and pulling out like the equivalent of maybe about 5 crates of records that I wanted to take with me, but I only got 2 road cases that hold like maybe 100 records a piece. Can't fit them all in there. See? But now with the Serato, I can not only fit all of them in there, but I can take some of them other records that I wasn't even thinking about, the novelty records, some of the comedy joints, and everything like that. So what happens is it helps you out. You know what I'm saying? Technology does that for you, and being that I got involved with Rain, I never stamp my name on anything unless I think it's a good product. And then I really will search around until I find that product that's solid state, because I was scared to take. I used to use, before I started using Serato, I was using Final Scratch, and it's basically kind of the same format. Only thing, one is built on a better platform than the other. Final Scratch had its little flaws. That's why I had to get rid of that and go with Serato. But more or less, it's just like what it does. It just allows me to take care of all of that stuff, and it allows me to just take my whole game plan to another level. Because what I'm saying, before when you had an organ, and you could only make one sound from it. You got an organ sound, and you could adjust the parameters or whatever the deal is. Now, then when they came out with electronic keyboards, and now you got 40,000 sounds plus that organ sounds in one keyboard. It allows you to step up your game plan and play other different musics or whatever to do to get more out of your performance. And that's basically what I use all of this stuff for, is a performance enhancer.
Right. So I went to Santos Bar a couple weeks ago, and I said that you're using the video mixing now.
Right.
Maybe you could explain what that is for some.
Yeah, well, the video, there's a lot, like a lot of people were jumping up on the DVD, playing DVDs, and
this is still pretty new.
Yeah, it's still pretty new,
yeah.
But the DVD is kind of like not the way to go, because especially if you're a cat like me that loves spinning on vinyl, spinning turntable. That's one thing with Serato. I still got the feel of vinyl because I'm actually playing records, and as opposed to a platter that doesn't spin on a CD player or whatever the deal is, or a DVD player. What it is this allows you to just take any video that you can put in your computer. You might have to convert it to a MP4 format or a QuickTime player format, but it allows you to take that video and like videos you see on MTV as well, insert them right in your computer and play them at your leisure and manipulate them with a record. Slow it down, speed it up, scratch it, chop it up, back and forth, transform it, do whatever you want to with it. and that's the next thing, because that's going to be the next thing, because I'll tell you like this, and I predicted it a few times when a lot of cats told me they wasn't going to go digital and wasn't going to, I got to stay with vinyl. I said, all right, well, I don't fault you. Hey, I love you for it, but after you get tired of carrying all them records, just come back and see me and I'll hook you up. And then sure enough, a lot of cats like Kid Capri, Jazzy Jeff, and a lot of these other cats that said they will never ever touch a computer for DJ. Now they're all on it. You know what I'm saying? Mark my words. The next 6 months to a year, everybody's gonna be. If you a DJ and you going out and you don't have some visuals to your thing, you're gonna be kind of like falling behind. So my advice to a lot of them cats: learn about it now. Figure out the best program. I'm not telling them to use what I use, but figure out something to incorporate that in your shows. Yeah, incorporate some of the videos in your show so you don't get left out of the matrix once the elevators start going up. If you ain't on it, man, you might get left off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I guess what's in the works? What's in the future for you?
Well, what's in the future for me right now is to finish my house. That's my carpentry end of this thing. Finish getting everything together in my house. You saw me doing the auto mechanics thing yesterday. But to finish off my house, get my studio back together, get in the studio, put out some stuff that's gonna make hip hop proud. Not a lot of stuff that's just gonna go out there and make me some money. See, my first thing is I got so much passion for the music that I make and the culture that I belong to. You know what I'm saying? It ain't always about the dollars. I make songs that stand the test of time. We got songs that we made that people still play, still get a kick out of till today. I got songs that sold 1 million copies 2 months ago or a year ago and 6 months ago, and I put it on right now. People clear out on the dance floor. You know what I'm saying?
Every time I play Planet Rock, people.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So you know the deal, and that's the kind of thing I'm going after. I want to make songs that I want to start a trend and have people follow that trend. Hopefully, we can take the cycle and reverse it and get some hip hop back into what it's supposed to be, and maybe start generating some positive message. And if I'm the one to deliver that, cool. If I'm the one to contribute to it, cool. You know what I'm saying? If somebody else contributes to it, cool. As long as somebody does it, because I'm appalled, and it's not the same thing that we started out to achieve when we started this thing called hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's like some of it's good, but we need a balance. We need something that this is bullshit. We're gonna have enough bullshit in. Can we get a little bit of good shit to balance off the bullshit? Yeah. Cool.
So Strong City is your record label?
Strong
How did that come about?
Well, Strong City was a collaboration. After I got burnt on the Def Jam situation, I didn't really want to start no more label. I was basically concentrating on my studio. And one of the groups that came to me with their manager was Rocky Buchanan. Came to me with a group called Masters of Ceremony, which is Grand Pooba's his cousin, and Don Barron, DJ Chappelle. So he came to me with this group, Masters of Ceremony, and they were kind of like an underground thing in New Rochelle from back in the days. They were doing little parties, jam parties, or whatever the deal is. So they had, I said, they had a little style to them. Plus we clicked as people. You know what I'm saying? So Rocky brought them in for me to help them work on some songs. And then he started pitching to me about how he wanted to start a label and this and that. And I was like, sure. So I kind of turned him down cold. He just kept on. after we finished the Master of Ceremonies album, I liked the album so much I wanted to be a part of it. So I told him, I came to him one day, I said, hey, listen, you know what? From now on, you don't have to pay for any more studio time. I said, this is gonna be part of my company, blah blah blah. He said, oh, so you want to get down with the record? At that point, we didn't even have a name for it. I was like, yeah, well, why not? I said, if we got talent like this, because I believed in the Master Ceremonies and the boys. I said, we got talent like this, I think we can make a go of it, you know what I'm saying? But this time, best to believe I'm signing some paperwork, because that Rick Rubin shit ain't going down like that no more, all right?
So I guess the movies. How did you get involved with Beat Street and Scratch? Probably starting with Beat Street.
Well, Beat Street, I got involved with Beat Street was it was interesting because they actually didn't want me per se. They didn't know who the hell I was. They wanted Bambaataa as a consultant to kind of like give a detailed description of like the Bronx days back in the era, whatever the deal is, and then in order to have some weight in the whole thing, Tom Silverman kind of like leaned towards getting us into the movie and having us do song in the movie, so that you know the whole business, the business tied in. Yeah. We thinking, oh, in a movie they're thinking a whole nother level, dollars and cents to how much they can merchandise it for. So Tom Silverman. Then once we got into that, Arthur Baker, had a part to do with it. Who was like the producer of Planet Rock. Basically, the wheels just got put into motion, and I went from actually not even supposed to even be a part of it to having the biggest part out of everybody in my group, because actually I had a couple of other parts. I got the outtakes. I got a couple of other parts that I actually had speaking parts with me, Kool Herc, me, and the guy, the other, where it's they cut it out because the original movie that with the outtakes in and everything like that was about 3.5 hours long. I could barely watch it. What is it, 90 minutes now? I could barely watch that. It wasn't that great of a movie. It's just like the first of its kind or something like that, or whatever the deal is. That's the only. But that's how we got involved with that, and I ended up doing a lot on the soundtrack, which was an experience for me, because I didn't know you make that much money just being involved in movies, man. And like when I got them checks, I was like, whoo. That's what paved the way for me to open up Jazzy Jay Recording Studio. And then with the Scratch thing, it's like guys were working on a documentary. Actually, Scratch was like, I don't know how many years did they take to make that. I think because by the time they put it out, I had forgot all about it. They came to interview me, that stuff, and by the time they put out, but I think it was a good thing with Scratch, because it kind of focused ultimately on the first element of the hip hop culture, which is the DJ. You know what I'm saying? The DJ. So it just threw the whole focus on the DJ, and I think it did a lot for. I know it did a lot for me, because it brought me back out there to a level where a lot of kids, if they had not saw Scratch, they probably would have even not known.
That's probably where I first found out about you.
Yeah, they probably would. They probably would have. Yeah, they probably would have not known who I was, or not ever heard of me, or what I did. You know what I'm saying? So it made a lot of people go back and say, "Oh man, wait a minute, this dude did all of this? Why I never heard of him?" You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah. So I give a lot of credit to that movie for making people do a little research on my behalf, or whatever the deal is.
Yeah. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Maybe if you just want to hit us with anything comes to your mind, a story.
Basically, I gave up enough. You took me from the woods. From the woods of Frogmore, South Carolina, all the way up to technology of Serato. Yeah. I think we covered a whole lot. Yeah. Only thing, basically, it's like my thing is, live and let live, man. Everything, and then we got to stop being so lazy. Let's get up off our asses and do something. My peoples, get your shit together, get out there. Do something, you know what I'm saying? Even if every little bit counts, you know what I'm saying? Not even on the music. If music is your passion, pursue it aggressively. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? And that's about, like, I try to give that advice to a little bit of everybody. And then on that note, it's the Funk Master, DJ Jazzy Jay, hanging out with my man, the Beat Man, and we are out the door.
right, thank you very much.
No problemo.
Okay. That caught everything?
Yeah, great.
As long as you got it, that was great.
That might have been one of the longest interviews yet.
Oh, get out of here. I told you I'm winning, man. Why you didn't stop me, Dan?
I came in, I went like this. I was
You
like,
keep shooting
relax.
questions, yeah. I mean, we could be here all day.
Oh, man, forget it. Especially when they start to, oh, yo, go into this story, go into that story. It'd have been
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that's
So
good.
when I get this thing finished, I'll be able to send you a DVD copy.
Okay, yeah, not a problem.
So it'll be nice. It'll have a DVD menu with chapters and everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that always works out. So one long file.
Okay, you finished?
Yes, definitely.
Wow, that was one of the best interviews we've ever done.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a little winded.